stamped these in black and I'm going to colour them in. So because I'm going to colour them in, I've used our Intense Black ink. It's a solvent-based permanent ink, so it won't run when we use any water products on it. So I'm going to use watercolour pencils and a water brush to colour this in. So we have our lovely Honeysuckle here, and it's got a little bit of shading. So I'm going to use the shading to help me judge where to put the colour. So I'm going to start with this darker pink colour. One of the things I love about the Honeysuckle and the Hummingbird is in nature they come in so many different colours that the colour palette you choose is really endless. There's so many beautiful colours that you can use on this set. So I'm starting with this dark pink and just picking up the centres of the flowers and the parts of the flowers where there's a bit of shading with that darker colour. And the thing with watercolour pencils is not to try and colour in the whole space. So I've added that colour there. Now I'm going to take the paler pink and just put some of that on here as well. Now I'm not even being neat, I'm just adding the bit of colour onto the flower so it's there when I pick up the colour with the water brush. So just try not to jump into the space and try and colour it in just like the way we did when we were kids, because then you'll have too much colour and you don't get that nice watercolour look with lights and shades and different variation. Now when I'm using my water brush, I like to have a tissue or some absorbent paper so you can get just the right amount of water, because too much water makes it go a bit runny. So I'm just now going to pick up that colour from the centre and spread it out to the edges. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing there. So it remains dark and then it blends through with this lighter colour pink to the edges and becomes quite pale at the edges, which is what we want. We want that little bit of variation so it doesn't look too flat. So we pick up the colour and spread it to fill in our flower. Okay, so if you find you need a little bit of extra colour, you can add some extra colour if need be, but I find that just doing that little bit of colour there, adding a small amount of water, you get that nice soft watercolour look, which is beautiful for these sort of flowers. Okay, so once you've done the flowers, then you can have a look at the leaves. Now with the leaves I'm going to use these two greens. So again I'm going to use this darker sort of shade through here where the leaves are shaded a bit and along the centres. So I'm just letting the stamp dictate where the darker parts should be, and then go in on top with this lighter green. Now again, I'm not trying to fill the whole space, I'm just adding some colour to pick up with my water brush, and that's going to add a nice bit of variation to the leaves. So now just clean my brush off so it's not hasn't still got all the pink on it, and come at it again and spread that colour through the leaves. So you don't want to overdo the amount of colour because that ruins that nice watercolour look that you get when you're adding water to the watercolour pencils. Okay, so I think you probably get the idea, just spreading that colour. So I won't do the rest of the leaves. Now the other thing that I have done with this one is I've taken my pink stickles. So here's my pink glittery stickles, and just added some stickles to the center, just to add a little bit of sparkle and a bit of dimension to the centers. So just a little touch squeezed out there. And as you can see, that gives a nice little effect as you spread it around. Okay, so move that one aside and we'll go on to the hummingbird. Okay, so I'm sticking with the same sort of colours. This particular hummingbird's going to have a little bit of a red mark just underneath the chin here. So I'll add that in there. First off, we're going to have some darker green here where the shading is. So again, so that I don't have to try and figure out where the shading would be, I'm letting the stamp set dictate where the darker areas would be. So that's where it's great if you've got a lovely stamp with a bit of shading on there. Gives you that extra hint on where the darker colour should be. And then I'm going to go through and add some of the lighter colour. So adding the light green now in a few places there. Next some on the tail back here. And then I'm going to finish that bit with some yellow. So again, I'm not filling the whole space, just filling, I think I need a little bit more dark green here, just on these longer feathers, a little bit more down there. Okay, add in some more of the green here, and then fill the yellow in. Okay, now you'd think that maybe that a 5-year-old had coloured that in because it's a little bit all over the place, but once you add your watercolour to blend those colours through, it comes up a treat. So spread that out, pick up the colour and give it that beautiful blended watercolour look. Okay, so I'll go here now to this part, finish off this wing, just pushing the colour to the edge of the wing now, just spreading that nicely, filling in the darker bits, giving that nice little blend of colour. Spread this green around a little here, and I did forget to add some yellow on the head there, so I'll go back and do that in a second. So remember, we don't want solid colour when we're trying to do watercolour. We want just that very light wash. Okay, so just use that now. Alright, so I'll just now spread the red through. There we go. Excellent. So now I can just wipe that little extra bit of red off there that I didn't really want, and that gives us a nice watercolour hummingbird. Okay, so I'm just going to add some clear shimmer brush because I'm all about sparkle here tonight. Today here, looking at this, I'm just going to add some shimmer brush and give the hummingbird a bit of sparkle, a bit of shimmer. Okay, so Just see if we can catch some of that shimmer. So the clear shimmer just adds that little bit of a sheen to it.